In the heart of Seattle, where skyscrapers pierced the gray sky and rain tapped against windows like a reminder of relentless time, the office of Vanguard Enterprises stood. The conference room on the 20th floor buzzed with employees. Some whispered excitedly, others fidgeted nervously with napkins. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the scent of champagne poured into plastic flutes, a modest touch of corporate America's glamour. I, Elizabeth Carter, or simply Liz to my colleagues, sat at the end of a long, polished wooden table. My hands rested on my lap, clenched so tightly that my nails dug into my palms. 3 years. 3 damn years I'd toiled here, transforming a chaotic operations department into a well-oiled machine. From 12 people, we'd grown to 47, and revenue had doubled thanks to my sleepless nights and missed family dinners. Michael, my husband, always teased, "Liz, you're building an empire while I'm just cooking dinner." But today it was supposed to pay off. The promotion to regional director. It was promised, almost official. Richard, my father-in-law and the company's CEO, stood at the head of the table, his silver hair gleaming under fluorescent lights, his Armani suit accentuating his imposing figure. He was the man I respected. Stern but fair, the one who welcomed me into the family 8 years ago when I married Michael. "Friends, colleagues," his voice boomed, echoing off walls adorned with posters touting corporate slogans like, "Innovation through dedication." The room fell silent. I felt a surge of adrenaline, joy mixed with anticipation. Finally, with great pleasure, I raised this glass to our new regional director. Richard continued, his eyes sparkling. Applause began to swell, but he raised a hand. "My brilliant niece, Sophia Black." Time stopped. The applause erupted like fireworks, but for me, the world narrowed to a tunnel. Sophia? That 28-year-old blonde with a perfect blowout and a designer suit, who'd been here for a mere 8 weeks, fresh out of business school with an MBA and connections that opened any door. I watched her stand, smiling dazzlingly, her golden hair cascading over her shoulders. "Thank you, Uncle Richard. I'm so thrilled for the chance to learn from all of you, especially Liz. She's been such an inspiration." My hands froze. I forced myself to clap, slowly, deliberately, to hide the trembling. The sound felt hollow, like an echo in an empty room. 8 weeks. She'd been here exactly 8 weeks, while I'd given 3 years. 3 years of 60-hour weeks, missing birthdays of Michael's kids from his first marriage to close deals. 3 years of building relationships with clients like Harris Industries, who now accounted for 30% of our revenue. And now this. Betrayal burned in my chest like acid, rising to my throat. Fear washed over me. What if all my efforts were for nothing? What if family trumped merit? Richard's gaze met mine across the table. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, guilt, regret, or just relief that it went smoothly. He quickly looked away and continued, "Liz has already been a remarkable mentor to Sophia. I know she'll continue to support our new director in every way." To Sophia. To Sophia, the room echoed. I pressed my lips into a semblance of a smile, but inside, a storm raged. Support? The word tasted bitter as bile. Support someone who stole my dream? I clapped again, but my hands shook. Colleagues around me applauded enthusiastically, but Anna from accounting, seated beside me, squeezed my hand under the table. "Liz, honey, breathe. This isn't fair," she whispered, her eyes full of sympathy. The meeting dispersed, people streaming toward the exit, exchanging congratulations. Sophia approached me, her light, expensive perfume hitting my senses. "Liz, I'm so excited. Uncle Richard said you'll help me get up to speed. We'll be an amazing team." Her enthusiasm was genuine but naive, like a child unaware she'd just shattered someone's life. I nodded, forcing my voice to stay even. "Of course, Sophia. Congratulations. It's a big opportunity." She hugged me, quickly, superficially, and flitted off to a group of managers. I remained seated, staring at my empty flute. The joy I'd anticipated turned to emptiness. Surprise mingled with fear. How do I tell Michael? He always believed in his father's fairness. And now, this would break his heart as much as mine. Leaving the room, I walked down the corridor, where walls displayed photos of successful deals, many of them mine. Colleagues cast glances, some pitying, others avoiding my eyes. Tom from sales nodded. Liz, just so you know, we all know who deserved it. His words were a comfort, but also a reminder of defeat. In the elevator, I leaned against the wall, tears stinging my eyes. No, not here. Not in the office. At home with Michael, I could let them fall. But for now, mask on. Smile, professionalism. I'd always been reliable, Liz. Predictable. But inside, something new was growing. Not just pain, but resolve. This wasn't the end. It was the start of my own battle. The conference room emptied quickly after the meeting, as if everyone was eager to escape the awkwardness that hung in the air like a heavy fog. I stood on unsteady legs, feeling the floor sway slightly, not from the champagne, but from the shock still pulsing in my temples. The corridor of Vanguard Enterprises felt endless. Glass and metal walls reflected my pale face, and my heels clicked on the marble floor, echoing like a panicked heartbeat. My office was a sanctuary, small but cozy, with a view of rainy Seattle, where skyscrapers drowned in gray clouds. The nameplate on the door still read, Elizabeth Carter, Senior Operations Manager. But now those words felt like a lie, a mockery of 3 years of my life. I closed the door, sank into my chair, and stared at the wall, where Employee of the Year certificates hung. 3 of them, each with a gold seal and Richard's signature. For outstanding dedication and results, read the latest. How ironic. These awards were my shield, proof I wasn't just the boss's son's wife but a valuable asset. Today they felt like worthless scraps of paper. My phone buzzed on the desk, a text from Michael. How'd the announcement go? Finally official. So proud of you, my love. Dinner's on me tonight. Lasagna, your favorite recipe. I stared at the screen, fingers frozen over the keyboard. How do I tell him? Michael always idolized his father. Dad's tough but fair, Liz. He sees your potential. And now this betrayal would shatter not just my career but our family. I replied briefly. Talk tonight. Love you. My heart clenched with fear. What if he sides with his father? Family above all. Richard often said at family dinners. But whose family? His or ours? The rest of the day passed in a haze of forced normalcy. I answered emails, one from Harris Industries, where Alex thanked me for swiftly handling their latest supply issue. Liz, you saved us again. We'd be sunk without you. The irony stung. I saved the company, but it didn't save me. Then reports, department growth charts I'd crafted, showing doubled revenue. Meetings, one with the team, where everyone cast pitying, awkward glances. Liza, congrats to Sophia? Tom mumbled, his cheeks reddening. I forced a smile. Of course. She'll bring a fresh perspective. But my jaw ached from the mask. Inside fear grew. What now? Leave? But where does a 42-year-old go? The job market is brutal, especially for women deemed too reliable, as whispers in the halls suggested. By 5, I was gathering my things, bag, coat, when Richard appeared in the doorway. His figure filled the frame, dominating the space as always. Liz, got a minute? His voice was even, but his eyes flickered with unease. I nodded, gesturing to the chair across my desk. The same one where, 3 months ago, he'd sat and said, "The promotion's a formality, Liz. You've earned it more than anyone." He sat, his broad frame creaking the chair, silver hair glinting under the lamp. "I know today was tough for you," he began, folding his hands on the desk. His wedding ring flashed, same as Michael's, a reminder of family ties. "Tough," I echoed, keeping my voice professional, though I was boiling inside. "Richard, you promised me that promotion 3 months ago. Said no one deserved it more." He shifted, fiddling with his ring, a rare nervous tick. "Business needs change, Liz. Sophia brings a fresh perspective, new ideas. She's fresh from business school with an MBA. 8 weeks, I cut in, quiet but firm. She's been here 8 weeks, and I've built this department for 3 years. 60-hour weeks, missed dinners, midnight deals. And now I'm to support her?" My words hung heavy, like an accusation. Richard sighed. "You're taking it too personally. You're incredibly valuable to the company. Liz, your family. Family looks out for each other. Sophia needs this opportunity, and you're secure here. You don't need a promotion like she does." Family. The word hit like a slap. Secure? As if I were old furniture, kept out of pity. Fear turned to cold anger. Too personally? This is my career, Richard. My life. He raised his hands placatingly. Listen, I hope you'll take the senior consultant role. Train her, help her settle in. It's a chance for you too, new responsibilities, maybe a bonus. But we both knew. It wasn't a chance, it was scraps. I leaned back, studying him. The man I'd respected, admired for his business acumen. Now he seemed weak, hiding behind family ties. Understood. I said finally, standing. I need to get home. Michael's cooking. Richard looked relieved, changing the subject. Say hi to my son. And Liz, thanks for understanding. Understanding? That's what he called a knife in the back. As I left the office, my heels clicked more decisively. The corridor was empty. The elevator descended slowly, giving time for thoughts. The drive home dragged in traffic. Rain lashed the car window, like the tears I held back. Family looks out for each other, Richard's words echoed. But when it came to me, I was secure, reliable, the one who sacrificed for others. Anticipation grew. This wasn't the end, but a turning point. Home glowed warm, inviting. Michael waited with lasagna. The smell of garlic and cheese filled the kitchen. But I had no appetite. He saw my face. Liz? What happened? Sit, tell me. I sat, words spilling out. They gave the promotion to Sophia. Your cousin. 8 weeks and she's director. And I'm to support her. Michael froze, jaw clenched, knuckles white on his wine glass. Dad? He said that? After all your promises? I nodded. Said I'm secure. Don't need it like she does. His eyes darkened. I'm calling him right now. No. I grabbed his hand. This is my fight. But Michael, it hurts. He hugged me, and the fear eased for a moment, replaced by sadness. We ate in silence, but inside I knew. Tomorrow back to the office, with a smile. But something had broken. The joy of work faded, leaving emptiness and the anticipation of change. The next morning, the office of Vanguard Enterprises greeted me with its familiar hum. Coffee machines hissed, phones rang, and colleagues exchanged morning pleasantries, carefully avoiding my gaze. I walked in with a painted-on smile, a mask that had helped me weather countless crises. The rain outside Seattle's windows intensified, drumming against the glass like a reminder of the storm within me. I'd barely slept the night before. Richard's words echoed in my mind. Family, secure, support. Fear gripped my throat. What if I stayed and broke? But I reminded myself. Today was about mentorship. Professionalism above all. I wore my favorite gray suit, the one that always gave me confidence, and headed to my office, where a stack of reports awaited. At exactly 9, Sophia burst through the door like a gust of fresh air. Her blonde hair perfectly styled, her designer suit accentuating her slim figure, and in her hands, a vibrant planner adorned with stickers and markers. Enthusiasm poured from her like a river, so bright it made my teeth ache, too vibrant, too naive for this cynical world. Liz. Good morning. I'm so excited to start learning from you. Uncle Richard said you know this department better than anyone. We're going to be an awesome team. Her voice chimed like a bell, her eyes sparkling with genuine excitement. I gestured to the chair across from me. Sit, Sophia. Let's start with Harris Industries, our biggest client. They've been with us since you were still in college. She nodded eagerly, opening her planner. Oh, awesome. Tell me everything. How are the relationships built? What do they prefer? For the next 2 hours, I dove into explanations. The client management system I'd built from scratch, the subtle nuances of negotiations, the balance between promises and reality. Look here, I said, pointing to the screen with charts. Each contact has preferences. Alex Harris loves weekly email updates, but in a crisis, you call immediately, even at midnight. Sophia scribbled frantically, her pen flying across the page. Wow, Liz, this is so detailed. What if Mr. Harris calls, upset about a delayed shipment? I sighed inwardly but answered calmly. You don't promise the impossible. You listen, note their concerns, give realistic timelines with a buffer. Trust is key. She nodded. Got it. And if he threatens to go to a competitor? I paused, studying her perfectly made-up face, rosy with enthusiasm, but no trace of understanding the stakes. Sophia, harasses 30% of our revenue. Lose them due to a mistake, and 47 people could lose their jobs, including you. Her eyes widened in surprise. Whoa. I swear, I'll be careful. You're so experienced, Liz. Thanks for sharing. Her words were sincere, but each question underscored her gaps. She hadn't even read the quarterly reports I'd prepared. My patience melted like ice in the rain. By lunch, I felt drained. 3 years of trial and error, and now I had to hand it over to someone who saw business as a game? Lunch break, I said finally. We'll continue after. Sophia beamed. Sure. You're the best. She flitted out, and I headed to the break room, a modest space with a microwave and fridge, where colleagues chatted about weather and TV shows. I was reheating leftover vegetable soup. Michael's attempt to comfort me yesterday, when I heard voices from Richard's office next door. The walls in this old building were paper-thin, and his booming bass carried easily. The transition's going great, Sophia. You're picking things up fast, he said, his tone fatherly, full of pride. I froze, the soup forgotten on the counter. Are you sure Liz is okay with this? Sophia replied, her voice younger, less certain. She seems so knowledgeable. Some clients ask for her specifically. I inched closer to the wall, my heart pounding with anticipation. Fear of hearing the truth mixed with a need to know. Richard chuckled, a low, confident sound. Liz is reliable, but we need fresh ideas. You're our future, Sophia. She's great at following instructions, maintaining the status quo, but the company needs innovation. You bring energy, a challenge to clients' thinking, not just agreement. His words pierced like an icy dagger. 3 years of building trust, reliability he now called weakness? But her feelings? Sophia pressed. She worked for that promotion for years. She's 42, uncle. Companies want young talent. Richard sighed. Family, Sophia. She'll understand that sometimes decisions serve a greater good. Besides, she's not going anywhere. At her age? She's predictable, reliable. She'll do whatever we ask because she has no other options. Predictable. Reliable. No other options. The words slammed into my chest, knocking the air out. I gripped the counter, knuckles white, fighting the urge to burst in and shout. I hear you. I'm not furniture. But instead of anger, a cold, calculated rage settled in, bone-deep, deliberate. I was a caretaker for their clients until the real leader, his precious niece, was ready to take the helm. I just feel bad for her, Sophia continued. She's so kind, teaching me, but I can see she's hurting. You have a good heart, Richard replied. But in business, feelings don't belong. Liz will adapt. She always does. That's what makes her valuable. I grabbed the soup. My hands shook, liquid sloshed, and returned to my office, slamming the door. I sat, staring at the certificates on the wall. 3 years, I'd believed loyalty would pay off. Thought my work meant something. But I was just hired help, keeping the machine running until the future arrived. Surprise turned to resolve. I'd changed. No longer the Liz who swallowed slights. Anticipation grew. It was time to leave. But how? That evening, while Michael worked late. Project crisis, honey, I'll be home late. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. A cup of tea cooled beside me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, then I typed. Dear Richard, please accept this as my official notice of resignation. My last day will be in 2 weeks. Thank you for the opportunities. Sincerely, Elizabeth Carter. Short, professional, no anger, no accusations. I reread it 3 times, feeling an odd calm. Printed it, signed it with my favorite pen, and sealed it in an envelope. I went to bed and slept soundly, for the first time in weeks. A spark of freedom flickered. Tomorrow would change everything. Morning would bring a new day, now with a plan. The next morning greeted me with cool Seattle rain streaming down the windows, like the tears I wouldn't let myself shed. I woke with an unfamiliar feeling. Not fear, not pain, but a strange lightness, as if 3 years' weight was dissolving. The decision was made. My resignation letter lay in my bag, neatly sealed in a white envelope. I chose a navy suit, the one I wore for major presentations, and paired it with my grandmother's pearl earrings, which always gave me confidence. Today was the day I'd stop being predictable Liz. The bedroom mirror reflected a woman ready for battle, not with shouts or accusations, but with cold, professional resolve. Michael, leaving for work, kissed my forehead. You okay? You were quieter last night. I smiled, hiding the storm inside. Everything will be fine, honey. See you tonight. He nodded, but worry flickered in his eyes. He sensed something brewing. The Vanguard Enterprises office met me with its usual noise. Clacking keyboards, coffee's aroma, hushed conversations. But today, I walked the corridor differently. Heels clicking firmer, back straighter. I arrived early to prepare. I placed the envelope at the center of Richard's desk, where he couldn't miss it, and returned to my morning tasks. I answered emails. One from a client thanking me for swiftly resolving a supply issue. Another from Tom in accounting, confused by a spreadsheet formula. Liz, you always save the day, he wrote. We'd be lost without you. The irony stung. They'd soon find out what it's like without me. At 10 sharp, I grabbed the envelope and headed to Richard's office. His secretary, Marie, a kind-eyed woman with 15 years tenure, smiled. Morning, Liz. He's finishing a call. No rush, wait. I nodded, sitting across from her desk. Marie had always been kind. We'd chatted about her grandkids, my weekend plans. Would she miss those talks? Or was I just another shadow that comes and goes? The office door opened. Richard emerged, phone to his ear, face tense. He was discussing quarterly forecasts, but seeing me, motioned me inside. I sat in the familiar chair across his desk. The same one where 3 months ago he'd promised. The promotion's a formality, Liz. You've earned it. My heart pounded, but I breathed evenly, clutching the envelope. He hung up, looking at me with slight irritation. Liz, what's up? I've got meetings till 3. I silently placed the envelope on his desk. He frowned, eyeing it like a puzzle. What's this? He asked, his tone sharp but laced with unease. Open it, I said calmly, folding my hands in my lap. Richard took a letter opener, sliced the envelope neatly, and unfolded the paper. I watched his face shift, from curiosity to shock, then to something like panic. His cheeks paled, then flushed red. You're not serious? He leapt up, his chair rolling back with a thud. This is a joke? Some negotiation tactic? I stayed seated, voice smooth as glass. I'm completely serious, Richard. He paced the office, running hands through his gray hair. Liz, you can't leave. We just transitioned Sophia 2 weeks ago. She needs your expertise, your knowledge. Harris Industries, the whole company, it rests on you. I gave a faint smile, no warmth in my eyes. It'll be fine. Sophia's full of enthusiasm. She'll manage. My words were a jab, calm but sharp. Richard stopped, staring at me like I was a stranger. This is about the promotion, isn't it? Look, I know you're upset. We can discuss other opportunities, a new role, bonuses, you name it. I stood, smoothing my skirt, feeling strength rise within. Richard, stop, I said, my voice quiet but steely, a tone he'd never heard. It's not about the promotion. It's about respect. I heard your conversation with Sophia yesterday. Every word. You called me predictable, reliable, with no other options. Said at my age, I've nowhere to go. His face went white as chalk. He opened his mouth, but words caught. Silence hung heavy, like a storm cloud. Liz, you might have misunderstood, he started, but I cut in. I understood perfectly. Family should be honest, Richard. Family doesn't make you train your replacement without saying it's a replacement. Family doesn't assume 42 is the end of potential. I stepped to the door, hand on the knob, but paused. You were right about one thing. I was predictable. For 3 years, I justified neglect, convinced myself loyalty would pay off. But I'm tired, Richard. Tired of being the one who swallows slights for the greater good. He sank into his chair, suddenly looking older than his 63 years. Liz, let's talk rationally. But I was already opening the door. I've made my choice, I said, not looking back. Marie glanced up as I exited, her face worried. She clearly heard Richard raise his voice. Everything okay, dear? She asked softly. I paused, smiling genuinely for the first time that day. It will be, Marie. Take care. She nodded, but sadness flickered in her eyes, as if she knew this was goodbye. Back in my office, I felt lighter than I had in months. The decision was made, words spoken, no turning back. I had 2 weeks to wrap up projects, document processes, and hand over tasks. 2 weeks to close this chapter. My phone was already buzzing. News spread like wildfire. Colleagues whispered in hallways, casting glances. Anna approached my desk. Liz, you really resigned? Because of Sophia? I shook my head. Because of me, Anna. I deserve more. She squeezed my hand. You're right. We'll miss you. Her words warmed me, but the joy of freedom mixed with anticipation. What next? I didn't know. But for the first time in ages, I looked forward to the future not with fear, but with excitement. 2 weeks, and I'd start anew. The 2 weeks of unemployment dragged like a fog, each day carrying a strange blend of freedom and anxiety. Rainy Seattle outside my home felt like a metaphor, gray, uncertain, yet promising renewal. I updated my resume, scrolled through LinkedIn, and sent applications to companies I'd once only dreamed of joining. Michael supported me as best he could, but his eyes betrayed worry. Liz, are you sure you don't want to take a break? We'll manage financially. I shook my head. A break isn't for me. I want to work where I'm valued. But deep down, fear whispered. What if Richard was right? What if at 42, I was too old for a fresh start? I pushed those thoughts away, but they crept back like shadows on a rainy night. Tuesday morning began with my usual ritual. Coffee, laptop, the quiet of home. I was reorganizing my home office. Old desk cluttered with papers, shelves lined with books I hadn't opened in years. My phone buzzed, displaying an unfamiliar number. I usually ignored such calls, but something, instinct, urged me to answer. Elizabeth Carter? This is Victoria Lynn from Apex Innovations, came a clear, confident voice with a hint of warmth. I nearly dropped my coffee mug, my heart racing. Apex Innovations, a rising star in logistics based in San Francisco, known for innovation and a reputation for promoting based on merit. I hope I haven't caught you off guard, Victoria continued. Your contact came from Alex Harris at Harris Industries. He spoke very highly of you. Alex, my key client at Vanguard, whose trust I'd earned through countless midnight calls and crisis solutions. That's very kind of him, I replied, trying to mask my excitement. How can I help? Victoria got to the point. We have an opening for a regional operations director, overseeing 3 departments and major clients. Alex thinks you're a perfect fit. Interested in hearing more? Joy surged like sunlight breaking through clouds. This wasn't just a job. It was the role I should have had at Vanguard, but better, bigger. Very interested, I said, my voice trembling with anticipation. An hour later, an email arrived with details. A salary 30% higher than Vanguard's, stock options, an office in downtown San Francisco. I reread it in the kitchen, my tea growing cold. Michael, returning from work, noticed my expression. Liz, you're glowing. What happened? I told him, and he hugged me so tightly I felt the fear recede. This is your chance, my love. You've earned it. But a nagging doubt lingered. What if I couldn't handle it? Apex was a different league, a faster pace. The interview was a whirlwind. Victoria met me at their office. A glass building bathed in light, buzzing with open spaces and energy. She was direct yet warm. Liz, why did you leave Vanguard? I'd prepared an answer, but looking into the eyes of Ethan Brooks, Apex's CEO, I chose honesty. I hit a ceiling that had nothing to do with my work. Loyalty without respect is servitude. I wanted a place that values merit. Ethan nodded, his gaze attentive. We don't believe in ceilings here, Liz. Only progress based on merit. Does that suit you? I smiled genuinely for the first time. Perfectly. My first day at Apex felt like stepping into another universe. The office hummed. Employees exchanged ideas through glass partitions. Technology ran seamlessly, and the air smelled of ambition. My subordinate, Isabella Rodriguez, who'd been temporarily managing operations, could have resented my arrival but instead greeted me with enthusiasm. Liz, I've been waiting for this. Victoria told me about your client experience. We need your approach, especially with Anderson Group. They're on the verge of leaving. Her words, your approach, needed, were like balm. Not reliability, but expertise. I proposed restructuring client communication protocols, drawing on my Vanguard experience. Ethan didn't just listen, he asked me to present to the board. The presentation flowed effortlessly. I shared data, strategies, and results from Vanguard. Ethan, seated at the head of the table, smiled afterward. 3 years of this, and they didn't make you director? Their loss, our gain. His laugh was warm, but his words stung. Guess I was too predictable for leadership. He shook his head. Predictability in results is leadership, Liz. Welcome to the team. My first major test was a meeting with Anderson Group, who threatened to terminate their contract over communication breakdowns. I prepared for 2 days, studying their history, analyzing errors, recalling every lesson from Vanguard. The 3-hour meeting was tense, but I listened, asked questions, and offered solutions. By the end, they not only stayed but expanded their contract by 40%. Isabella, walking back to the office, gasped, Liz, how did you do that? I shrugged, but inside joy sang. Listen to what they needed, not what I wanted to give. By the end of my first month, I was managing not only operations but a new client retention initiative. My team grew to 18, and metrics hit a 2-year high. Each morning, I entered Apex with excitement. Not fear, but genuine anticipation. My ideas weren't just heard, they were implemented. Ethan called me after another meeting. Liz, we might have underestimated this role. Want to discuss expanding your responsibilities? Expansion. At Vanguard, that meant more work without recognition. Here it meant opportunity. I nodded, gladly. Fear faded, replaced by confidence. I was in my element, and for the first time in years, I felt not reliable, but valued. Apex gave me what Vanguard took, belief in myself. 3 months at Apex Innovations flew by like a whirlwind of energy and opportunity. The San Francisco office became my second home. Glass walls let in sunlight reflecting off the bay, and the team buzzed with ideas like a hive. Each morning, I entered the building with a feeling I hadn't known at Vanguard. Anticipation, not fear. My work with clients, especially the success with Anderson Group, spread through the company, and colleagues sought my advice. Liz, how did you convince them to stay? Isabella asked, flipping through my notes. Listened and offered solutions, not excuses, I replied, feeling confidence grow. But beneath this joy lurked a shadow. Echoes of the past. Vanguard didn't fully let me go. Rumors reached me through industry channels. Each whisper a reminder of the betrayal that propelled me to this new life. One evening, I attended a networking event in downtown San Francisco. An elegant hall where wine flowed freely, and business leaders swapped cards to jazz music. I stood by a window, admiring the city lights, when Emma Davis from Pacific Financial, a smaller Vanguard client, approached. Elizabeth Carter. Heard you're at Apex now. Smart move leaving, she said, her voice warm but tinged with something more. I smiled diplomatically. Thanks, Emma. Apex is a new challenge. She lowered her voice, glancing around. Listen, things at Vanguard have gone downhill since you left. The new contact, Sophia, right? Hasn't responded to requests in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, Liz. You always called back the same day. Her words stung. Satisfaction at my value being recognized mixed with sadness for my former colleagues. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. I hope they sort it out. But Emma shook her head. Not sure they will. Clients are whispering about alternatives. She drifted off to another conversation, but her words stuck like a splinter. 2 weeks later, Alex Harris called, the client whose trust I'd earned over years at Vanguard. Liz, hope I'm not interrupting, he began, his voice tense. I've got a professional question, but first, we're terminating our contract with Vanguard at quarter's end. My stomach dropped. Harris Industries was Vanguard's biggest client. Their departure would be catastrophic. I'm so sorry, Alex. What happened? He sighed. Remember our monthly calls? You kept me updated, adjusted strategies to the market. Sophia missed the last 2. And when she called back, she couldn't answer basic account questions. Said she'd get back with details, but never did. I closed my eyes, picturing the panic at Vanguard's office. The last straw was a $2 million supply crisis, he continued. You'd have dropped everything, coordinated with logistics, updated us hourly. Sophia told us to file a complaint form and she'd deal with it when she had time. I shook my head. It's not paperwork, Alex. It's your business. He snorted. Exactly. Richard tried talking to me personally, said Sophia's the new direction. And if we can't adapt, maybe we're not a fit. Liz, I recommended Apex hire you. You were their foundation. Mixed emotions swirled. Satisfaction that my worth was proven, and sorrow for the people I'd worked with. Layoffs were inevitable. 15 people, maybe more. Thanks for the trust, Alex. Good luck, I said, hanging up. I sat in my new office, gazing at the bay through the window. Joy from my success at Apex was tempered by thoughts of Vanguard. Not Richard or Sophia, but colleagues like Anna, Tom, others who didn't deserve to suffer for others' mistakes. That same day, Victoria Lynn called me to her office. Her desk was piled with industry reports, but she smiled. Liz, sit. Heard something interesting about your former employer. My heart clenched. Would Vanguard's rumors somehow harm me at Apex? Harris is a great win for us, she continued. But they're not the only ones looking for alternatives. 3 companies asked about our services this week. All mentioned your name. Relief washed over me like warm rain. They're disappointed with Vanguard's quality, she added. I want you to lead the presentations. But ethically, no poaching. I nodded. Agreed. It's their requests. We're just offering solutions. She smiled. Your thoughts exactly. Go get 'em, Liz. Within a month, Apex signed contracts with 4 new clients, all former Vanguard accounts. At each presentation, I heard the same refrain. Service dropped, deadlines missed, communications a nightmare. I defended my old colleagues diplomatically. Vanguard's in a transition, but at Apex, we offer stability and reliability. But inside, anticipation grew. Richard's empire was crumbling. His bet on connections over competence was eroding the foundation. Satisfaction mingled with sadness. I wanted him to see my value, but not at the cost of Tom's, Anna's, or others' jobs. That evening, sitting with Michael, I shared. Vanguard's losing clients. Harris is gone, others are following. He frowned. Dad brought this on himself, Liz. But I feel for the office folks. I nodded. Me too. But I can't save everyone. He took my hand. You saved yourself. That's what matters. Joy from my new life battled the shadow of the past, but I knew. My path was now with Apex, and there was no going back. 3 months into my role at Apex Innovations, life began to find a new rhythm. Morning coffee in the office overlooking the San Francisco Bay became a ritual that energized me. My team respected my ideas, clients valued my approach, and Ethan, the CEO, increasingly involved me in strategic decisions. But the shadow of Vanguard Enterprises lingered on the horizon. Rumors of their struggles trickled through industry chats and chance encounters, each one stirring a pang, not of gloating, but a complex mix of sadness and relief. I'd escaped a cage, but those left behind were now paying for Richard's mistakes. Over dinner with Michael, I shared. Heard 2 more Vanguard clients jump to competitors. That's 6 this quarter. He shook his head. Dad thought Sophia would save the company. It's sinking. His voice trembled with disappointment. His father's betrayal had wounded not just me, but him too. One evening, as rain once again cloaked Seattle, my phone rang. The number was familiar. Anna, the accountant from Vanguard, with whom I'd shared coffee and life stories. Liz, it's Anna. Sorry for calling so late. I got your number from Michael, she said, her voice quivering as if fighting tears. I set down my teacup, my heart tightening with anticipation. Anna, are you okay? What's going on? She sighed. Honestly, not okay. The office is in chaos. After Harris Industries left, there's talk of layoffs. 3 more big clients are gone. People say it's because of you. You took their trust with you. Her words hit like a slap. Anna, I didn't poach clients, I countered, keeping my voice steady. They're leaving because of poor service. She interrupted. I don't blame you, Liz. We all saw how they treated you. But I'm scared. I'm 58. I've got a mortgage, a son in college, who'll hire an accountant my age. Her fear was palpable, like the cold air outside. I remembered her kindness, how she'd comforted me that day in the conference room when my world crumbled. Anna, I said softly, can I pass your contact to Victoria Lynn? Apex is expanding. We need experienced accountants. You'd be a perfect fit. Her voice cracked with relief. Liz, are you serious? I don't know how to thank you. I smiled into the phone. You were always kind to me. It's the least I can do. Hanging up, I felt warmth, joy at helping, but also a weight. I wanted Richard to see my worth, but not at the cost of good people like Anna suffering. In that moment, I realized this wasn't about revenge. It was about giving people a chance to find a place where they're valued. A week later, Anna came for an interview at Apex. Victoria was impressed. Liz, your contact is a gem. Her experience is exactly what we need for new accounts. Anna got an offer, and her first call to me brimmed with gratitude that nearly brought me to tears. Liz, you saved me. I thought I'd be left with nothing. Her words were a balm, but also a reminder. Vanguard was collapsing, and I was unwittingly part of its downfall. Other colleagues began looking elsewhere. Tom from sales messaged me on LinkedIn. Liz, your exit inspired me. I'm applying elsewhere. Time to value myself. I replied, you're right, Tom. You deserve more. Joy at their resolve mixed with sadness. How many had to suffer for one bad decision? Soon, the rumors about Vanguard grew louder. At an industry event in Portland, I ran into Janet, another client from my past. She grabbed my arm. Liz, you got out just in time. Vanguard's a mess. Sophia doesn't return calls, and Richard, he's in denial. Says everything's under control, but clients are bolting. I nodded, masking an inner storm. Sorry to hear that, Janet. I hope they find a way. But deep down I knew Richard had bet on connections over competence. His future was fragile as a house of cards. At Apex, my role kept growing. I led an initiative to optimize client processes, and Ethan sought my input on strategic matters. Liz, you see things we've missed for years, he said after one presentation. His words filled me with pride, but I couldn't fully shake Vanguard's shadow. Each new client we signed was proof of my value, but also a reminder of the destruction left behind. One evening, Michael noticed my pensiveness. You're still thinking about them, aren't you? It's not your fault. I sighed. I know, but there were people I respected. They didn't deserve this. He hugged me. You did what you could. Now it's your turn to shine. By month's end, Anna started at Apex, her enthusiasm infectious. Liz, it's like a fresh start. They listen to me here, she said over coffee. I smiled. You're where you belong, Anna. But inside, a realization grew. It wasn't about Vanguard's fall, but about people finding the strength to move forward. Richard's lesson was becoming clear industry-wide. Prioritize connections over competence, and you lose not just employees, but the business's foundation. I didn't want revenge. I wanted people like Anna, Tom, and me to find places where their contributions were valued. That was my victory, not over Richard, but over the fear that I was too predictable for change. For the first time, I felt I wasn't just surviving, but living fully, and the anticipation of new growth filled me with joy. 6 months at Apex Innovations transformed me beyond recognition. Each morning, I entered the office with a feeling I'd nearly forgotten: inspiration. The downtown San Francisco building, with its glass walls and bay views, became a symbol of a new beginning. My team grew, projects thrived, and clients, many fleeing Vanguard Enterprises, thanked me for the attention to detail I brought. Ethan, the CEO, said over coffee one day, Liz, you're not just a director. You're the engine driving us forward. His words warmed me like sunlight after a long Seattle winter, but the past shadow still flickered. Rumors of Vanguard's collapse reached me through industry channels. Clients defecting, layoffs mounting, and Richard reportedly a man losing control. I didn't gloat, it felt too petty. but satisfaction at proving my worth mixed with sadness for former colleagues whose lives were upended by others' mistakes. One evening, back home in Seattle, I found an envelope on the table, thick embossed cardstock with gold lettering. An invitation to Vanguard Enterprises' annual gala at the Grand Ballroom downtown. Michael, seeing it, frowned. "You're not going, are you, Liz? After everything?" I turned the envelope in my hands, feeling its weight. "I think I will," I replied, meeting his gaze. "Not for Richard. For me. I want to see who I've become." He looked at me like I was mad. "You sure? That's like swimming with sharks." I smiled. "I'm not the one afraid of sharks anymore. Besides, I won't be alone. Victoria wants to come." Michael sighed but nodded. "Just be careful. And wear something stunning." I chose an emerald green silk dress that flowed like a wave, accentuating my confidence. Victoria, my boss at Apex, insisted on joining. "Call it moral support, Liz. Plus, I'm curious to see the company that foolishly let you go." Her sly smile bolstered me. The gala evening felt familiar. The same crystal chandeliers, the same faces, but everything seemed different. I walked through the hall with my head high, the silk gliding against my skin, my grandmother's pearl earrings swaying lightly. Vanguard colleagues approached with cautious smiles. "Liz, you look amazing," Tom from sales said, but his eyes betrayed unease. Anna, now at Apex, hugged me. "You were right to leave. Thank you for helping me." Her gratitude warmed me, but I noticed other glances. Envy mixed with discomfort, as if my success highlighted their stagnation. The cocktail hour was tense, but I held my ground, exchanging pleasantries. Victoria whispered, "They all know they lost a star. See how nervous they are." I smirked, but inside, I felt anticipation. Something was about to happen. As the lights dimmed, Richard took the stage. He looked older than I remembered, his gray hair thinner, his face lined with wrinkles, the confident leader now a shadow of himself. "Welcome, friends," he began, his voice slightly unsteady. "This year has been tough but enlightening. We've learned the importance of adaptation and recognizing talent." His eyes met mine in the crowd, and for a moment we both froze. I looked away, my heart pounding with a mix of anger and curiosity. The award ceremony proceeded as usual. For sales, client service, innovation. But tension hung in the air, as if everyone knew the company teetered on the edge. Then Richard announced, "Tonight we introduce a new award, for outstanding leadership. It's for someone who may no longer be with us, but whose impact continues to shape the business. Elizabeth Carter, please come to the stage." The room erupted in applause, but I froze. Victoria nudged me. "Go, Liz. This is your moment." My legs carried me to the stage, each step like slow motion. My heart raced with surprise and awe. Richard met me, handing over a sparkling crystal award glinting under the chandeliers. "Liz, your dedication and client work set a standard that inspires us," he said, but his smile was strained. I took the microphone, scanning the faces in the room. Anna beamed, Tom nodded, Sophia, at Richard's family table, looked uneasy. "Thank you," I began, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Working at Vanguard taught me a lot. About business, relationships, but most importantly about myself. I learned loyalty matters, but only if it's mutual. Hard work counts when it's valued. Sometimes the best choice is to leave a place that won't let you grow. The applause was quieter, more hesitant. I continued. "I'm grateful for my time here. It led me to a company where values trump politics, where ideas are heard, and potential isn't capped by age or connections." I handed the microphone back to Richard, his face frozen. "Thank you for the recognition. And to my former colleagues, remember, you have more power than you think. Use it." The room erupted in applause, not everyone, but enough. Anna and Tom clapped loudest. I returned to my table, feeling light, as if I'd shed chains. After dinner, Richard approached. "Liz, a word?" Victoria stepped away diplomatically. His voice was low, tough speech. I met his eyes, honest. He looked weary. "We're restructuring the team. If you'd consider coming back." I cut him off. 6 months ago, I'd have tried to prove something. I don't need to anymore. You chose connections over competence. That's your problem. I took the award, heavy in my hands, and walked away. Victoria caught up with me in the parking lot. How's it feel to have the last word? I smiled, like freedom. At home, Michael waited with tea. How'd it go? Perfectly, I replied, setting the award next to a photo from Apex. The woman in the photo was confident, valued, free. The best revenge was becoming myself.